Thank you so much, Ben. That was like probably the best introduction anyone has ever given me. Thank you. Super excited to be here in Melbourne, and as Ben was saying, I went to Canberra first. I've been to Sydney and Cairns in the north, and I just love your country. I almost feel like I'm at home because I'm born and raised in Southern California. So thank you for welcoming me to your country. Before I jump into my presentation, which is on building your own authentic brand, I'd like you guys to humor me a bit. So everyone put their hands in the air. It's like a nice big stretch. You can move your hands around if you want, doesn't matter. And say, I'm awesome! No, I need it to be louder. Sorry, that wasn't good enough. One more time, 1, 2, 3. I'm awesome! Great, you guys did a great job. So now, because we all know that you're awesome, to go to your neighbor and tell them why you are awesome. So I'll give you a couple seconds. What makes you awesome? So that is the first part of building your personal brand, really understanding what makes you special, what your passion and purpose is, and being able to express it in a clear, concise way. So like I said, today I'm talking about building an authentic brand, and I'd like to kick things off with telling you a little bit about my personal story. I was born and raised in Los Angeles, California, from one immigrant parent. She's from Mexico, half Japanese, half Mexican, and my dad is French-American, so very multicultural background. Being in LA, I ended up going to college at the University of California at Davis, and I studied sociology and economics and ended up working in a consumer brand marketing firm called JWT, which I think they have a company here as well, a branch here. And at JWT, I was spearheading consumer brand marketing for specific divisions that handled entertainment, so Disney and Nestle and a few other big consumer brands. I would learn things about building a complete campaign, so from understanding our target audience to building the campaign, sort of the nuts and bolts of the campaign, and then tracking the ROI analytics to make sure that that campaign was successful. As I grew into my career and decided to launch Girls in Tech, which Ben said, gave you a great explanation of it. I decided to bring in a lot of the tactics that I learned at JWT to create my own personal brand. Many of the things that I learned in the campaigns, and it actually helped me achieve my business objectives. And I really didn't know it was happening, but it was, and I'm glad that I had that experience to kick off my career. So what is a personal brand, and how do we define it? As Wikipedia says, it's the ongoing process of establishing a prescribed image or impression in the mind of others about an individual, organization, or group. And I had to read that all because I wanted to make sure that I didn't butcher it. And why is this important? It can help you get a better job. It can help you with PR and thought leadership. From a startup perspective, it can help you with fundraising. It can help you attract the right talent to your company. It can even help you with marketing, SEO, and even to the point of an exit. So it's all extremely important and definitely should not be overlooked. So according to an AVG study, 92% of children under the age of 2 already have a digital footprint. That is slightly disturbing. It's the parents populating Facebook with all of the photos and everything from their kids. Great, everyone wants to share those photos, but they don't really have a choice, right? So in this digital age, when we're publishing content and consuming content in a massive level, we have really we all have a digital presence, and we all need to be able to understand that that exists. And it's our responsibility or our interest, if we want to cultivate, leverage it, to actually create a personal brand and help, which will in the end help us achieve our business objectives. So let's get started. So the first thing is train your brain to think as yourself as a brand. So what are the things that you want people to remember you for? What is the tagline, the one sentence that captures the essence of who you are and the essence of what you're trying to build with your company? When they see a photo of you, when they see your name, what is something that comes up in their mind? What is your tagline? So these people, while I really did not want to include them in the presentation because I don't necessarily trust their values or trust them in general, they have created phenomenal brands, strong brands. And I think we everyone in this room could probably provide their tagline. So the one on your left, his tagline is essentially, I will do anything in my power to be the next American president. The one on your right, I will do anything in my power to be a very famous billionaire. And they really have achieved successful outcomes in creating their personal brands. The next thing would be to audit your online presence. So I would Google your name, set up Google alerts and whatnot to make sure that you are monitoring where your name shows up in Google in the SEO ranking, et cetera. Be responsive. Really understand when somebody is talking about you or your company that you respond and you listen. You really engage with the community and your followers. So I took it upon myself to Google our friend George. He's conveniently not in the room. So the first three are about PausFest and about how exciting it is and what's going on here and pressing play on PausFest Premier Melbourne Creative Tech Scene. Very cool. Then we go into, I tapped his bum because it was in my face, and then Fears Hole's dead body graffiti and something about football. So you gotta understand, you gotta know when people actually Google your name, what is popping up. And if it's not something that you want to appear, then you have to push out more content so that it'll go down in the SEO ranking. The next thing I would recommend is to launch your own personal website. Really own your IP, own your presence. Include your bio and photos, things that are representative of you, and make sure that you include your social links and whatnot. You want people to have easy access to you and resources and your brand message around you. And also for SEO purposes, like I said, I can't emphasize that enough. When they Google you, you really want to show up on the top of the ranking. So one of my favorite websites is Ricky Gervais. Who knows him? Everybody. He is an awesome, awesome comedian. And he has done a great job of utilizing his online IP to promote everything that he does. So from his YouTube blurbs to his blogs to his hosting gigs on the Oscars, really everything that he does is on here. And he has visitors, he has high traction because he posts special little videos every time for his unique visitors. So I would take a look at his site because he does a great job with this. The next thing I would recommend is find ways to produce value for your target audience. So create content and push it out on a consistent basis. Really understand what your consumers, what your target audience wants to learn about, what they want to hear. And these are two sites that I highly recommend. Most people don't know that Forbes and Huffington Post accept guest bloggers and guest writers. So if you were to pitch an editor or talk to somebody in the editorial division and say, I am a subject matter expert in waffle makers, then they say, okay, write an article, the editorial staff will review it. Literally, it takes 48 hours max, and if they like it, they'll publish it. So this is a huge resource, and I always recommend startup entrepreneurs take advantage of this because you're not only reaching out to the online world, Forbes and Huffington Post will re-syndicate you on their thousands and thousands of readers. So it's very important. And you build the credibility because Forbes and Huffington Post are very, very well known in the community. So the next thing I would recommend is just being really purposeful about what you tweet on social media, what you post. The personal brand now, because our digital presence is so strong and so relevant, and that's the way that we consume information, it really is an amalgamation of your personal brand. There are many instances, many that we can point to, where people's online reputation was tarnished because of something they tweeted or something they posted or some not so PC photo. So really be careful about what you post and what you say and to which audience you say it to. And a good example is shit my dad says. How many people have heard about this? Yeah, so the reason why I bring this up, is probably not really politically correct to share it, but I think it's an amazing, amazing example. So this guy started out, normal guy, and he thought it would be, he's like, you know, my dad really is a really funny guy. So he says things like, a parent's only as good as their dumbest kid. If one wins a Nobel Prize, but the other gets robbed by a hooker, you failed. I mean, who says, who says that? So he continued to pitch post things and post things and post things. And he got a book deal. So people were like, this is awesome. You know, we want to hear more from this guy and the shit his dad says, right? After the book came out, he got a second book deal and a third book deal, and then NBC called him up and said, hey, guess what, buddy? Do you want to come in? We're going to do a comedy series, and we would like you to not star in it, but be one of the writers. He's like, of course. And then they're in talks now about having a movie. So because of his Twitter following and because of the brand that he created on Twitter, he has now become a very successful entrepreneur and entertainer and writer. So it's very important. Another thing that I wanted to share, I'm sure you guys have heard of the Dollar Shave Club, but this is a phenomenal example. It was somebody who had a passion for razor blades being shipped to his home. He wanted good quality razors, and he wanted the convenience of having them shipped to his home on a weekly basis. So he just said, you know what? This isn't happening. I can't find any good ones online, so I'm going to create a company out of it. This is a problem I want to solve for myself, and I'm sure I'm not the only guy out there that needs razors shipped. So he was a banker, and he created this YouTube video with some of his spare change, and he launched his company with a YouTube video, which I will show you now.
Hi, I'm Mike, founder of DollarShaveClub.com. What is DollarShaveClub.com? Well, for $1 a month, we send high-quality razors right to your door. Yeah, $1. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are f***ing great. Each razor has stainless steel blades, an aloe vera lubricating strip, and a pivot head. It's so gentle a toddler could use it. And do you like spending $20 a month on brand name razors? 19 go to Roger Federer. I'm good at tennis.
And do you think your razor needs a vibrating handle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades? Your handsome-ass grandfather had 1 blade and polio. Looking good, pop-up! Stop paying for shave tech you don't need. And stop forgetting to buy your blades every month. Alejandro and I are going to ship them right to you. We're not just selling razors, we're also making new jobs. Alejandro, what were you doing last month?
Not working.
What are you doing now?
Working.
I'm no Vanderbilt, but this train makes hay. So stop forgetting to buy your blades every month and start deciding where you're going to stack all those dollar bills I'm saving you. We are DollarShaveClub.com, and the party is on.
So that I think it's $651 million later. He's pretty happy that he made that YouTube video, and now he's gone on to build other products for men that get shipped directly to their homes. So that is pretty hilarious. So the next thing I want to talk about is association with other brands, and we like to call them the 3 C's. So company, college, and colleagues. So really well-known brands that exist and have existed for a long time. What can help you bolster your brand? What is credible in existence out there? Is it VCs? Is it angel investors? Is it an incubator? Is it Y Combinator that you went through? It's important to associate with strong brands that exist so that you can bolster your brand. A couple people that we know that did this really, really well, Larry and Sergey. So they were at Stanford, and as you all know, Google was a small little research project in the engineering school at Stanford. They were smart enough to work with their professors and leverage contacts and venture capitalists that were in and around Palo Alto and utilize the brand and the logo on everything that they did. And now it's sort of the opposite. So Stanford always touts that Google was born out of the university, and they work together. But they, of course, didn't ask for any money back or any ownership of the IP, which is great. But they did a great job of leveraging the brand. So the last thing I'll talk about is really reinventing your narrative, really understanding what your story is, what your passion and purpose is in life, and how you want to express it through your messaging. The narrative itself is very, very important because this is how people will build trust around you. This is how people will really understand what it is you're selling, and what people will in the end, why they want to follow you. So Dory Clark had wrote a book called Reinventing You, and it has a lot of great information about building your brand and building a narrative to share your story with the world. Somebody who does a great job of this is Oprah Winfrey. I think you all know her. She is somebody that has inspired me personally, but consistently across the board in any media interview, offline, online, anywhere, she tells the same story, and she's very, very consistent about it, to the point where she has a really specific following, and she's increased that over the years, but she has an amazing, amazing story as well to share. That people are focused more on where she came from and the steps it took for her to get to a successful place. So she's a great role model for this. And I want to share a quick video, interview of Oprah Winfrey telling a little bit of her story.
She is often called the most powerful and influential woman in the world. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we'll be exploring the life and career of Oprah. Oprah Gail Winfrey was born January 29, 1954 in rural Mississippi. Much of her turbulent youth was spent in poverty, and she was constantly moved around the country to live with various family members before she had even reached her teens. Oprah displayed great intelligence and speaking abilities early on, and these were encouraged by her grandmother and father. She went on to win a full scholarship to Tennessee State University, where she studied communications. Winfrey worked at a local radio station and moved to a local Nashville television station, where she became the youngest news anchor and the first black female news anchor. She finally relocated to Illinois and took over hosting duties of AM Chicago.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Oprah Winfrey, the new host of AM Chicago, and I am thrilled to be here.
Just months later, the show had overtaken Phil Donahue's talk show in the ratings. She quickly signed a syndication deal, and on September 8, 1986, the first countrywide hour-long Oprah Winfrey Show debuted. It was also around this time that Harpo Productions was founded, with Winfrey as president. As a host, Winfrey was credited with being better attuned to her audience than other talk show personalities of the day, and with changing the tabloid format. She was able to connect with her audience and interviewees by revealing stories about her past. For example, in 1986, she disclosed that she had been molested in her youth. She was also vocal about her weight and relationship problems. In fact, this type of public confessional therapy was dubbed the Oprahfication of television. Oprah also helped raise the profile of gay, bisexual, transsexual, and transgender people, and this helped those groups gain mainstream acceptance. Aside from addressing the issues on her talk show, Winfrey also guest starred as a therapist who helped Ellen DeGeneres come out of the closet on her sitcom in 1997.
So I'll just stop there. She's just a very relatable person and came out and shared a lot of her personal stories. And then in her storytelling process, she shared her mission and vision to not only build her media mogul, but also to really help change the world, build schools in Africa, help with the poor in the United States, et cetera, et cetera. She has created such a brand for herself, and aligns with so many people with the same values, and they're now her sort of entourage, as she likes to call them. And as a result, they have become successful by aligning themselves with her personal brand. So just to end off, these are some of the strong celebrity personal brands that stand out to me. Richard Branson, Martha Stewart, Steve Jobs, Jessica Alba, Michael Jordan, Lady Gaga, Mark Cuban. They each have their own personal story and a very strong brand, and they also have very great publicists and PR people that I'm sure they pay a lot of money for, but they've done a great job of really capturing the essence of what their vision and mission is in life and what their business proposition is. So that is it. And please, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and email me or check me out on girlsintech.org, and thank you very much.